Unfortunately, women sometimes develop piles in the later stages of pregnancy, or sometimes during labour and birth. The reason they occur is due to the fact that the pelvic area is under more pressure with a growing baby, and this can result in small blood vessels dilating around the anus.
That was the only really painful thing after the pregnancy, I've got to say, was the hemorrhoids rather than anything else. It's just so unfortunate that you know, the blood flow just stagnates in labour, in pregnancy. And certainly if you're pushing really hard for a while, the chances are really good you're going to get them. And if you had them in the previous pregnancy, you have another pregnancy, they're going to pop out again. They're awful. It's so painful. Oh dear, I never had to think I'd have to sit on a rubber ring, and I did. It was horrible.
But nobody told me that. Nobody told Mark what he would have to expect to see as well, because they were holding a mirror up, because I was on my knees obviously, and they were holding a mirror up for him at one stage. I did see him sort of look round and like jaw drop, and he basically thought I was going to turn inside out. So nobody tells you about, what is it, anal dilatation and things like that.
That's the part you're pushing, so you know it's going to be bad.
Having gone through the rigours of childbirth, women can find it's not quite all over yet.
Certainly after the baby's born, you can either hire a valley cushion, the NCT often hire them out, but also if you roll up a towel and then put it into a ring, you can actually sit on that, and it just gives some relief from the pressure of sitting. Learning to breastfeed lying down can be really helpful, you know, just especially in the early days with piles, because they're so tender. And what I find is where women have maybe a very swollen perineum and piles, that postnatally, initially it's the tear that they're aware of, and then the tear kind of heals very quickly, or you know, does most of the healing very quickly, and then the piles kick in and they're really aware of the piles. So it can be really quite rotten actually in the first week or so.
I was partly terrified of going for a poo after I'd had the baby, because you've just been pushing and pushing, but I've spoken to a lot of women that have said this, and it's that first time you go to the toilet after you've had the baby that's actually quite scary.
Prevention is not that easy, but eating more fibre and drinking more water can help by ensuring that the poo is softer.
It makes it worse if you hang on for days, because it becomes constipated. So really drink lots of water, eat really well, make sure you're getting your roughage and your greens and so on to help you go. And what can often help is when you sit on the toilet, you can actually support your perineum either with, you know, can put a pad on your fingers and just hold everything in place while you go, because then the world won't feel like it's falling out.
There are medications in the form of suppositories and creams that can be bought over the counter from the pharmacy.
Somebody recommended Preparation H to me, which in my experience was the absolute best. I also used your other over-the-counter suppositories, things like Anusol. I had been to the doctor as well, because of course you get free prescriptions after you've had a baby for a year. So I made sure that I got, you know, whatever other Proctosedal, I think, was another ointment that I used.
There are also alternative remedies to help alleviate the problem.
For the clients who don't want to use anything chemical based, again, I'll often send them off to the homeopath or to an aromatherapist, or particularly acupuncture, because it works on the blood flow, you know, and supporting the blood flow.
However, if the piles cause too much pain and bleeding, a general practitioner can prescribe stronger medications. And if necessary, they can refer you to a general surgeon who can inject them or remove them entirely.